the homework now and they bid on it.
Jim, really sorry about that delay, everyone. Thanks for your patience.
You're all good. You had to let Bid on it run one time in the background. That's all good. I would totally understand that. All right, all good. Cool. Glad you're situated, and we can get this thing kicked off. So I'll go ahead and get us started here. Welcome, everybody. Got a packed house. Love to see it. As you all know, I'm THC. I'm here today with our CEO, Mitch, and our guest of the evening, Pacman. We are going to talk about everything from Blast to Blur and all those little B words in between. As always, if you have questions, feel free to drop those in guest questions. We'll try to get those answered for you if we have time, and any relevant discussion during the AMA, you can pop that into office hours chat. Pacman, it's been a while, man, since we've had you in here to host you last. You did a fantastic numbers therapy episode, which was really well received. We appreciate you coming back to give us another glimpse behind the curtain. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Couldn't ask for a better way to spend the evening. Mitch, how are you doing? You hanging in there, brother? No, Mitch is wearing a lot of hats. I think right now he has a hard hat on, but he is here with us. You hanging in there, brother?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, let's go, bro. We've just been going through some fun support tickets. We just launched the alpha version of our app roughly like 2 weeks ago. And that's why THC is driving the convo. But, dude, appreciate having you on. I think a lot of us in here in HQ still remember, some of the first early engagements with you, with the Blur team. It's been nice to meet everyone on staff and, to help support you in any way. That's what HQ is here for, bro. So I love it.
I always love chatting with the Metaverse HQ folks because this was the first group that I ever chatted with. I think the first time I met you guys was in the NFT NYC meetup that we did in that one bar. You guys remember 2 years ago, and so I've always had an incredible fondness for Metaverse HQ. Big fan of you guys.
Hell yeah, man! I remember the first time we actually met online. I think you had first met with Seinfeld and Jacob, and you showed us just a glimpse of Blur. This was before obviously it blew up and went ethereal. And the second we saw it, I just had that gut feeling. I was like, this guy's fucking cooking. So it's exciting, man. It's been exciting to watch your progression over 2 years, to be, on the sidelines rooting for you and helping indirectly, directly, however we can. HQ will always have your back. So hopefully you could share with us some alpha today. And, a lot of our members are really excited. We even have a Blast channel in here, bro, where a lot of members are building on Blast too. So it's really fun to see.
That's awesome. Love to see it. Yeah, and I'll do my best to answer questions. And if there's anything I can't share, I'll let you know. But at minimum, we'll try to kind of, if I can't share anything, I'll kind of share a general philosophy on things, and hopefully that kind of gives you a sense of where we're going.
Jeez, you two, get a room. Nah, I'm just totally kidding. It's been a cook from the start. Love that you're bringing it home. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Obviously, Blast is the marquee topic here. That's what is on everybody's mind. TVL's through the roof. A lot of speculation. We've got a contest with builders, tripping over each other to try and build on the protocol. So let's jump straight into that. For those that need some foundation, could you maybe just give us a high level, what is Blast? Maybe what purpose does it serve, or what problem does it solve? Just to kind of get us kicked off here.
Yeah. Great question. There's a short answer and there's a slightly medium answer. And I think since we're here, I'll give the medium answer because it's actually the more authentic, meaty response. But when you think through the market, and especially the L2 market, there's a few things that are quite interesting about the on-chain economy. And I'll kind of just start from the beginning. The core thesis behind Blast is that markets march towards efficiency. And specifically, liquidity flows to where it can get the highest yield. And in DeFi, we're all familiar with yield farming, but there's many different types of yield that exist in the world. And one specific type that's actually that plays a very critical role and pretty much every economy it exists in is this concept of a risk-free interest rate, right? It's a baseline interest rate of an economic system. And this risk-free rate, it exists not just on-chain, but also in many off-chain economies as well. The most famous being the US economy, of course. Right. So the way to think about it is, in the US economy, the Fed basically controls inflation by, raising and decreasing interest rates. And so even when the Fed, raises or increases the interest rates by a few bips, it has like very dramatic impacts on the US economy. And on-chain in Ethereum, we now have a version of this risk-free interest rate in the form of ETH staking. So you can stake your ETH and earn around 3 to 4% in yield on ETH-L1. And that small bit of yield alone has sucked up around $20 to $30 billion of liquidity on the ETH-L1. And the opportunity that we're building towards with Blast is that none of the L2s of today actually have this yield on their chains. And what we're doing is we're building the first L2 with native yield, where all the ETH on the L2 is automatically earning yield from the ETH-L1 staking. So it's like if you have 1 ETH on Blast, in a year it becomes 1.04 ETH automatically. And similarly with the stablecoins, if you have 1 USDB on Blast, in a year it becomes 1.05 USDB automatically. And it's a seemingly small change, but what it does is it actually enables entirely new applications to be built on Blast that aren't possible in other L2s, because you can now use this yield as a new primitive. So that's the the core reason for why Blast exists. But I know that's a bit long-winded, so I'll stop there. You can take this however you'd like.
No, that was perfect. Yeah, I think that gives a really good starting point, sort of to jump off from. So yeah, just kind of leveraging the yield that already exists with, staking L1 and an entire L2 that's dedicated to just, either building on or harvesting from that yield. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of give you an example of what I mean by building new types of applications, if you look at pretty much every single category of dApps that are successful on chain today, you can build new business models if you actually take yield into account. So let's look at like perp dexes as an example. If you look at like a perp dex like DYDX, it has around 300 million in TVL, and they monetize off of trading fees. And what's possible on Blast is that you can build a perp dex that instead of monetizing off of trading fees, just monetizes off the yield, and instead charges 0 trading fees. And as a perp dex, if you do that, you're basically taking like a Robinhood disruptive approach to the perp dex market. In a similar way that when Robinhood launched, all of the different trading venues, they would charge trading fees every time you traded, and Robinhood came in with a 0 fee way to trade stocks, and it completely swept the market up. And this is something that you can basically do across every single category, right? So I just shared this example of perp dexes. If you look at dexes, like Uniswap has billions in TVL that's not earning yield, right? If Uniswap had this yield, they could have just taken advantage of this yield to monetize instead of charging a fee on the front end. And they could, the DAO itself could actually monetize off the yield, right? Instead of charging fees. Similarly with lending protocols today have billions in TVL that's not earning yield. That could be. And so if you look at every single type of dApp, once you have this yield as a new primitive, you can actually, the huge unlock here is actually that you can build a new business model that basically monetizes in a novel way and allows you as a dApp to be, more competitive than the predecessors that aren't taking advantage of that business model.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, and just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, so any ETH that you have on Blast that is actively earning yield as if it were staked in the liquid staking, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So all ETH on Blast, all stable coins. So when you bridge over your stable coins like USDC, USDT, DAI, it's automatically converted into USDB, which is Blast's native stablecoin, and that USDB is actually automatically earning yield as well. So like all of the the baseline liquidity in the ecosystem, whether it's ETH or WETH or USDB, the stablecoin, it's all earning yield.
Beautiful. And then do you guys take like a portion of that, or you guys take a cut of the yield, or is all of that going to the users and you guys are monetizing through other routes?
It all goes to the users. And actually, one other interesting thing is that because this L2 has the yield, we don't monetize off of gas fee revenue either. So normal L2s will basically charge more in gas fees than it costs to post the transactions to the L1. And they keep that revenue for themselves. And on Blast, instead, what we do is we actually give all of the net gas fee revenue back to the dApps. So all of the gas spent is basically going back to the dApps. So if you're building on Blast, you not only get to take advantage of the native yield, but also any of the the net gas fees, you actually earn that back too.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds, honestly, it sounds too good to be true. I'm sort of having a similar head scratch moment as I did when I heard about Blur and the sort of 0% royalties. And I just thought, how the fuck are they making money? You know what I mean? So I have a similar sort of feeling here. Is it more so to just sort of capture attention and market dominance, or are you guys not worried about?
Yeah, my general belief is that in a networked economy, which is what the on-chain economy is, and the NFT market is a subset of that, right? So it's just like network economies within networked economies. In a network economy, really what matters is, are you able to bring something to the market that is actually generating new market efficiencies and new differentiated value? And if you have a protocol or an L2 in which a large swath of that economy is transacting within, then there's basically like infinite opportunity to monetize later down the line. And there's no need to rush for that. So like on the Blur side, for example, there's 0 fees today. It's possible for the community via the governance, because the Blur token controls the DAO governance. It's possible for the community to enable a fee switch and monetize in the future. And there's even been like proposals for that. But that can happen at any point in time. And there's no need to do it until, if you think about like the best time to do it, is like you can do it when you're in like a raging bull market. It doesn't really make sense to do before then. And you can really do it at any point in time because the network effect is self-sustaining. And similarly for Blast, what really matters is building up a networked economy within the Blast ecosystem. And once that's done, the community can always monetize later down the line, but there's no need to rush.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, just get the mind share, get the market share, and then like you said, there's just infinite opportunities to monetize. Yeah, that makes total sense. We've seen you do it before, so yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of faith in your ability to accumulate liquidity and gather attention and hold it for an extended period of time. So beautiful. Okay, so I think we got a pretty good foundation here for what the protocol is and how it's going to function. I want to move on a bit and talk about. We're going to get to the Big Bang and stuff and sort of talk about different things that are being built. But before we get there, I kind of want to just ask, because a lot of people's entry into Blast was through like the Blur Season 2 claim and people bridging over their ETH into Blast to do spins and stuff. So I wanted to kind of just throw a couple questions out there, and if we have any in chat, feel free to throw them as well. But is there any like denomination as to like how much of the Blast is going to go to Blur farmers versus the people interacting with Blast directly, like the early access people and the bridgers?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is something that we actually deliberately haven't revealed. And the reason why is because we don't want the Blur token to become a direct proxy for Blast. And actually, just to add on to that, now that I think about it, the other thing that we really wanted to optimize for is, if you look at the way the holder points work, what we really wanted to do was the Blur rewards for the holder rewards, we really wanted that to go to long-term community members within Blur. And when we thought about like how do we differentiate long-term community members from short-term community members, one of the things that you have is if you have a direct token proxy, right? If you have something where people can like directly calculate, then it's way easier for just like short-term flippers to like come in and buy and then deposit into the holder's contract and farm that way. But if it's vague, then it actually becomes a much riskier proposition. And once it's a riskier proposition, then it's a lot harder for the short-term traders to just come in and directly calculate like what they should do. But if you're a long-term holder, it's really easy. It's like, okay, you're holding anyway. It doesn't matter how much is allocated because you're just going to hold anyway. So you can deposit, you can get the max, the max points, the max multiplier, and you're very happy to do that because that's what you're going to do anyway. And it's just like purely additive. So by keeping it undisclosed, we kind of, the thesis behind it was that we would actually be able to, provide more of an advantage to the long-term holders, which was really the goal of the system.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, if it's not, you're not comfortable sharing the information that's not public, no firm figures or anything, that's totally fine. And yeah, it's cool. It sounds like there is a focus on sort of rewarding long-term community members, however you factor that out. Okay, a couple more questions just about sort of blast points and like the blast system as it is right now. These are kind of just quick ones. We could rapid fire maybe. Do the spins expire at all?
The spins don't expire.
Okay, perfect. Do blast points compound in any way?
No, they're linear.
Okay, perfect. And what sort of products and features do you expect will be live when Blast launches?
Yeah, so it's pretty much like the entire spectrum. Like we've seen a lot of different dApps already in the Big Bang competition. There's 2,000 plus registrations, but then we really try to filter down for quality. So I would say even within that, I would say there's there's hundreds of quality registrations, and then because of that, there's really a whole spectrum of different applications. Right? There's perp dexes, there's spot dexes, there's lending protocols, there's NFT protocols, there's GambleFi protocols, there's SocialFi protocols. There's random things like DeFi things that we had never thought of before, even as like categories. So it's like pretty much like anything you can think of. There's something along those lines building on Blast.
Okay, cool. So no sort of like firm partners or like a menu of selection of dApps that'll be live. Just sort of whatever rises to the top through the competition and whatever you guys think has the most merit. That'll kind of get the focus and be the first things to do.
Yeah, actually, so what we're doing is the big competition, the winners of it, we will be featuring them directly in the the Mainnet bridging flow. And we wanted to do it this way because in my capacity at Blur, of course, I've talked with all the L2s, talked to a lot of the founders, and kind of got to see how they operated. And a lot of it kind of felt like it was like, it's like you have to like know someone. It's like kind of behind closed doors. And, we were very fortunate because, we fortunately had strong connections with the industry and had a reputation. But it kind of didn't really feel as aligned with like the ethos of Web3 as it could have been. And I think the cool thing about Web3 is like it's like this like global economy. Anyone can participate. Like any anon can come in and start like shit posting and like building up a reputation and launch something. And actually, it's like the most pedigree people in the space are not like the people like the Harvard MBAs or something like that. They're actually just like anon builders who are just like in the trenches. And so I really think that that's like an important aspect of this entire ecosystem. So what we wanted to do was we kind of wanted to try to create as like meritocratic of a system as we could, while also leveraging our resources as an L2 to make sure that the ones that rise to the top are maximally successful. And so the whole purpose of the Big Bang is to kind of create like a fair way for people to compete and then be those like people that rise to the top. And then from there, then we can allocate resources and attention to them. And it's a fair way of doing it because everyone was able to participate in the competition equally.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, I think it taps into the Web3 ethos perfectly. I remember like the day the announcement of the competition went out, I saw like some FUD. People were just like, oh, they can't build the dApps themselves. So they're having, Web3, like all these devs do it for them. And I just couldn't have disagreed more. I'm like, bro, this is like what it's all about. What do you mean? Like, obviously if you crowdsource it and let the best talent rise to the top, you're going to get some really cool and creative stuff, which is actually a fantastic segue into my next sort of line of questions.
I'll just add one point to that. It's always really funny seeing the FUD because there's actually a really it's like you always get the FUD before people turn around and end up copying. There's this Bloomberg reporter that actually like reached out to me in DMs, and first she was like DMing about like the points and like being like a Ponzi and like all this stuff, and then like it was like 3 months passed, and she's like, oh, like Pacman, like now that everyone's like copying a blast and like validating this, like what do you think about it? And it's like, I didn't respond in both cases, but it's just like really funny just because it's like a lot of, I think in this space, it's just like you get engagement in two ways. It's like you can get engagement by like being good, or you can get engagement by like dunking on something. And it's actually really easy to get engagement by like dunking on something. And so it's just like the natural outcome is that you're just always going to have people dunking on like literally anything new. And it's just like kind of like the way it is with the space.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, you said liquidity flows to where it gets the highest yield. Well, engagement flows to where it's the lowest effort. So yeah, no question there. We got you. So I want to talk about Big Bang because I think that's really exciting and it's a really clever idea. I had a question for you, and I'm seeing some guest questions as well about Big Bang. So I'm going to kind of merge my question with the guest question here and give you an out. I was going to ask, because I'm sure you guys have probably already started reviewing, a lot of these proposals and stuff. I was going to ask if there was anything just like really unorthodox or like silly or just really goofy, like a out there idea. And if not, I'm going to give you an out here. Somebody else asked, is there anybody, or has there been interesting ideas that you've heard from the competition participants on how to best utilize that 100% gas refund functionality or perk of the L2? So 2 options there, either something silly or just a really clever way to utilize that yield.
Yeah, the best things that I've seen is it's all within the realm of like what we kind of expected. This is more addressing like the latter question, because like the best way to leverage the yield and the gas fee sharing is really just to you can really do 2 things. You can take it as a new source of revenue, and when you do that, you can actually zero out some other source of revenue, which is really cool because now you can be more competitive. Right. So the example that I gave was, if you're like a DEX, right, you can like monetize the yield and then you don't have to charge the trading fees. So that's like one angle. The other angle is you take the yield and you actually give it back to the users. And what this means is that now your product is the most market efficient version of that product. Right. So it's like if you're a DEX and you are distributing the yield back to the LPs, now they're earning not just the yield from LPing tokens on your DEX, but now they're also earning the native yield on top. And so it's just increasing the net yield that they can earn. And that's just a more valuable proposition than if you didn't have that yield.
Okay. Yeah, that's super logical. Kind of boring answer. I thought you were going to say something off the wall, man. Come on. No, it makes sense, right? This is all about efficiency, getting them, stretching your money as far as it can go. So it makes sense that, it's the apps that take working ideas and just sort of evolve them out using that concept. So cool.
Yeah, it's really, there's like some, there's always like some like crazy things that are just like random, but really like the overarching, because this is like a financialized system, right? So it's like at the end of the day, the overarching thing that we're trying to create is the outcome is we want to create more wealth for the users and the developers on Blast. By using and developing on Blast, there should be greater wealth, greater yield for everyone participating than anywhere else. And that outcome, if we do it, will make everyone better off, right? And everyone who helps in participating in that and creating that outcome, right? And so this is where the blast points and the developer points comes in. People who contribute to that outcome should get their fair share of that outcome. And so like that's the entire thesis behind, like that's why points exist. It's not like a marketing gimmick. It's like if you come in, and it was the same way with Blur, right? So if you come in and you participate and you're listing or bidding on Blur, you're actually making Blur as a protocol successful, then you get to participate in the upside of that. And similarly on Blast, Blast is actually a different team. It's a different venture, of course, but in my capacity, I'm involved with both. If you participate in actually creating that ecosystem, then you get to participate in the upside of it, and you should, right? Because you helped make it a thing. So that's kind of like the overarching thesis of it. It's like it's not anything crazy. It's like pretty straightforward and simple. But I don't know. I think a lot of it is missed when I see the public discourse around Blast.
Well, yeah, just public discourse about anything. Yeah, it's a very noble pursuit, enrichment of everyone that's participating in the protocol. I understand. Leave the memes at the door. It's a serious business. Let's make some money. I want to talk about the developer allocation that you just mentioned briefly there. There's a guest question that's just asking for a little bit of just to specify a bit here. It says the website says that 90% of the developer airdrop allocation goes to mainnet dApps. Does this mean the apps that participated in the competition that didn't win will get an allocation, or will that be distributed to all apps live on the mainnet using some other incentivization program once mainnet goes live?
Yeah, it's a great question. So basically, there's going to be a set of the developer airdrop allocated to the Big Bang winners, and then there's going to be the remainder of the allocation, and the vast majority of the developer airdrop will be towards like the mainnet dApps. Like I would say like 90% plus. And what we're going to do is we want to make it as meritocratic as possible. So it's not the way it's going to work is that we're going to be looking at like a number of categories of dApps, basically the same categories as what's in the competition right now. And then we're going to look at like what are the the best performing dApps across like a number of different metrics, right? So it's like if you're like a DEX, we'll look at volume, we'll look at liquidity, we'll look at like users, we'll look at like retention, like things like that. So there's like objective metrics, and then there's also subjective metrics, right? It's like, is this like a high quality thing? Is it just a fork, or is it actually something like novel? And then based on that, then we're going to basically allocate like developer points, on like a weekly to bi-weekly basis. So we're gonna like distribute it over time, and we're gonna distribute it based on which dApps are like performing well and bringing something to market. And so in this way, it's like our goal is that to receive the developer airdrop, you don't have to like have like a BD person that's like talking to us. You just have to build something good and valuable for the community, and then that'll get bubbled up, and then we'll see that, and then we'll allocate to those dApps. And then our ideal is that those dApps, the long-term oriented ones, they're not just going to keep that reward for themselves, but they're actually going to use it to give to their users to actually build up even more market share and build up an even better position as a dApp, right? Because we want dApps that are actually building for the long term. And so if you think about like this like 3-month period when the mainnet launches before the point redemption in May, if you're a dApp and you take advantage of the developer allocation and you're providing that to your users, it's kind of like the highest period of like incentive firepower that you'll get as a dApp. And so the dApps that use that correctly will actually be able to basically become the next Jupiter on Blast, right? Or the next equivalent of like Uniswap on Blast, or the next DYDX on Blast. And that's actually the outcome that they'll be able to achieve if they utilize everything correctly. And so we're really going to be oriented towards like finding the ones that are not just like building good stuff, but also incentive aligned and long-term oriented.
Love that. Yeah. Very well said. I have to ask, just hypothetically, just entertain this for a second. Hypothetically, let's say there is a SocialFi dApp that's live on testnet right now that's minted roughly, I don't know, like 680,000 NFTs on Blast. Does that check any of those boxes by any chance? How you feeling about that?
I think it's great. I think it's a great contender.
Beautiful. We love that. Continuing on the sort of testnet activity stuff, will testnet activity give any airdrops in the future potentially?
No, we don't want to have the testnet be incentivized because it's just too easy to Sybil. So it's really just meant to be like a staging environment, really, for builders, for users to play around with.
Got it. Cool. And then do developer points apply to all existing dApps who are operating on Blast, or just ones coming from Mainnet?
Say that one more time.
Sure. Yeah, I think you actually may have covered this just previously, but do the developer points apply to all existing dApps who are operating on Blast, or just the ones coming from Mainnet?
It'll
So I guess like testnet sort of developer points.
It's primarily going to be based on the Big Bang results. So that would kind of technically be people participating in the testnet, right? You don't technically need to have your dApp deployed on the testnet in order to win in the Big Bang competition, but it definitely helps, having something like live. So it's like there's going to be a portion allocated to the Big Bang competition winners, and then there's going to be the remaining portion distributed, to dApps on the mainnet. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I see the divide there. Yeah, totally. Cool. Okay. So let's see. I'm just kind of sifting through, trying to kind of bucket these just logically here. Okay. So yeah, I think we're good to transition here. I'm going to circle back. There's a question here earlier. I think I might actually be able to take a stab at answering this one. The question is, how does Blast make money? I think I know the answer. I think the answer is they don't right now, but they'll be able to, however they want to in the future. Am I close there?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And
the users make money.
The users make money, and it's not it's like the Blast ecosystem, right? Like the Blast community, the Blast DAO. It's not like an entity making money in the future, and that's something like the two like direct, like there's actually like a lot, like ultimately, like if you look at like Ethereum, it's like there's a lot of different ways that the ecosystem monetizes beyond just like direct like fees. So I think there's like a lot of like actually like creative things that are separate, but the two most direct ways for the community to, the governance community to make money in the future would be through maybe charging like a fee on the yield, or charging like a fee on the gas fee, right? So instead of sharing like 100% gas fee revenue, maybe it could be like a 50-50 share or something. But there's really no rush to get there.
Sounds good. Next one, moving on quickly here, just trying to get through. There's a lot of questions rolling in, man. People they demand answers. So Scotco says, with Blast, the value prop to devs and users is clear in terms of yield. What are your thoughts on the increasing saturation among many L2s launching this year and how they will retain users? Example, ZK Sync, Scroll, Linea, Starknet, Poly, etc.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the reason why you see a lot of dApps right now, it's actually very similar to, if you look at how markets develop, and especially how financialized markets develop, there's a difference between when the market is kind of in the early like growth stage and when the market has reached maturity and has kind of like crystallized its structure a little bit. And typically in financialized markets, the outcomes are very power law driven, especially in network. And for like financialized network markets, the outcomes are extremely power law driven. So what you end up with is you have like one or two players that like matter, and then everyone else is like kind of irrelevant. If you look at like every marketplace, right, it's like you have like Amazon and like nothing else matters, right? If you look at like, peer to peer, it's like you have like eBay and it's like nothing else matters. It's just like, it's very, very power law driven. If you look at NFT marketplaces, it was kind of like a similar thing where when Blur got started, it was like OpenSea had like 80% share, and there's like 40 other NFT marketplaces. Now it's really, it's Blur and then OpenSea, and then there's not much activity on the other ones, and that's a more mature market structure. If you look at the L1s, right, this is the L1 market is way ahead of the L2 market. What do we have? We have Bitcoin is number one, and then we have Ethereum is number two. It's around like 3x smaller. Then we have Solana. It's around 6x smaller, and then it just gets smaller and smaller from there. And that's a more stable structure because it's always going to be very power law driven. With L2s today, L2s have really only been around for a few years, so the L2 market structure is still very early. So this is why you're seeing a lot of L2s. They're all going to be like vying for attention. But ultimately, the end structure is there's going to be one or two L2s that are relevant, and then everyone else is just going to be much much smaller. Maybe they're going to be like really niche ones, but in terms of like if you look at like the magnitude of the economic activity, is going to concentrate on just one, two, maybe three L2s.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Kind of the best rise to the top. Everybody else kind of falls under. Do you suspect any other L2s would try to include the native yield into the protocol similar to Blast?
It's funny because a lot of L2s have copied the marketing, but they actually haven't copied the native yield. The native yield is actually really hard.
Sounds like the important part.
Yeah, it's like it's like they say they have native yield, and what they mean is that they have a LSD on the L2, right? So it's like you have your ETH on the L2, and you can like swap into an ERC20, and that ERC20 is yield bearing. It's like stETH basically, and that's not the point of any of this. The point of it is you have to make the native ETH itself yield bearing, because that's what creates the unlocks to create new types of applications. And that's very difficult. So no one has done this besides us. In terms of who I would think would do it, I think everyone would do it. It's really hard to say who would do it first, but I think that the end outcome is that like basically everyone copies it to a certain extent, and it's just a matter of like how long it takes them.
Yeah, that also makes total sense. Yeah, the dominoes start falling, right? If you're not going to step up and match it, then yeah, everybody's going to have to compete in some way. Sounds perfect. Okay, so I'm going to circle back. This is some questions about features. I'm going to kind of bucket these together. The first question: will Blur support Blast at launch?
Yeah, Blur will definitely be deploying on Blast. Probably not immediately at launch, though. It's going to take some time. There's a little bit more development that needs to happen. So I would expect if not at launch, like shortly after launch, but it will be like soon after. But I don't have an exact ETA.
Okay, no worries. Next question: if you let your Blast spins accumulate, say you're busy or lazy, do you get less points or super spins as opposed to if you visit the site every day to spin?
No, it's the same, but it is better to do your super spins, just because that way you have your luck gets higher faster, and then because the luck affects the likelihood of sorry, not your super spins, your squad spins, right? So for the luck cards, it's better to get that higher sooner, because it affects the likelihood of your future spins becoming super spins. So it is better to do those, but outside of that, you can do your spins whenever.
Totally. Yep. Good shout. Math checks out. And then next one, what can we expect after the TGE? Will there be multiple seasons, perhaps similar to Blur?
Yeah, I think that's TBD.
Okay, totally fair. I've got one from Tonkatsu here. This might be a little personal.
Oh, and also just to add some color, it's not TBD in the sense of like, oh, we have a plan, and like we're not sharing it. It's TBD in the sense of, I think it really depends on like what are the needs of the ecosystem at that time. So based on the needs of the ecosystem, it's like based on where the ecosystem is at, then it's like, okay, then you have to figure out like, okay, is it worth it to do something else, or is it just like unnecessary at that point? Is something else actually even better? It's like not another season, but like something even completely separate. I don't have answers to those questions, and won't really until we're closer to the point redemption.
It totally makes sense. I appreciate you clarifying that. That's what I heard when you said TBD. I'm just kind of reading between the lines. It's like, we're going to do whatever makes the most fucking sense when the time comes. So yeah, appreciate you elaborating there. Much better answer second time. It's like, yeah, whatever's going to work, right? We've seen you do it before. So yeah, I think we got faith. You guys will make the right call. Still just trying to rip through these. Sorry if I'm picking up the pace a little bit here, just trying to get all these questions. Tonk has one. This might be a little personal. He should probably just open a ticket, but I'll go ahead and ask because you're here. He says, if I pull out all my ETH in February, is my allocation going to get nuked if I don't keep it staked until May?
That's a great question. We are going to have interesting participation mechanics once the mainnet is live, just because right now you can't do anything on Blast, right? It's like you can't participate in any dApps. But we're gonna and the developer airdrop isn't live. But once the developer airdrop is live and once there's dApps, then there's gonna be interesting things to do. So we're going to try to incorporate it in a way that's that's net beneficial to all users. But there's nothing that we've done yet that I can fully reveal.
Right. Sounds like he's going to get wrecked. No, I'm just kidding. But to keep your ears peeled and play it smart. Moving on to the next one here. GM Pacman, what are your plans for supporting NFT creators and creator royalties on Blast? As a creator launching on Blast, I'd love to see enforced royalty model, but also understand this may be counter to Blur's business model.
Yeah, it's a great question. So the way we think about it is really more so around what unlocks are there for monetization on Blast, right? Whether it's you're a DApp or you're an NFT creator or you're a token creator, like what are the unlocks for monetization? And I think there's really interesting unlocks that are possible. And in terms of like supporting that at Blur, a lot of it is going to be exploring those potential unlocks and trying to help, work with the community to kind of take advantage of them. So like just two examples. One is for NFTs, you can do something where actually like now creators are able to earn yield on like mints as an example. And this yield provides a new business model that could be monetized that isn't really being monetized today. So it's like, what can we do around that? And I think there's some interesting things there. The other one is because of the gas fee sharing, you could also have an NFT or a token where actually every single trade is benefiting that creator because every single trade contributes like gas fee revenue to the creator. Right, and both of those, it's not like either or, right? Like you can combine both of them and mix and match in interesting ways. And you can even do some things where it's like, not just like the NFT itself, but also like any sort of like the gas spent on like transactions, like marketplace transactions around that NFT. Like that is another like potential avenue. So I think there's a lot of like monetization potential that's possible that is that's going to require exploration, and I'm really excited to dig into that because ultimately, if any of those click, then it's just like a huge unlock for the entire industry, right? So we're going to be digging into that for sure.
Totally, yeah. If it's okay with you, I'd like to dig into one potential route right now, just kind of get your thoughts or get your hot take on it. Any thoughts on Magic Eden's push for market share with their whole royalty program and stuff?
I think it's interesting. I think if you look on Solana, as far as I can tell, most of the activity is still on Tensor, even after their push. I would be surprised if there's like a huge difference on the Ethereum market, but ultimately, more competition is always better for the end user, right? So in that regard, I think like any effort is kind of like a net positive effort for the end user. So from like whenever that's the case, it's like it's hard to complain or think poorly of it in any sense, just because I think more competition is always better for the community.
Okay, yeah. Are there any?
Although you guys are a lot more are just as much in the trenches. I'm curious what you guys think.
We're probably split 70-30. I would imagine most people will just gravitate towards where they can make the most money, just kind of inherently, like you said. It's where liquidity flows. So it's tough. I mean, yeah, the whole business model being built on royalties is probably not the most sustainable thing. I think a lot of people had lofty dreams thinking that they were going to be able to just float on royalties forever, but sure. I mean, there are projects where there is merit to it, and it makes sense that it needs to be self-funding and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think there's cases to be made for both. I think just naturally humans will just kind of gravitate towards Blur, towards where the fees are the lowest. So, yeah, I'm probably in line with your thinking there.
I think that makes me really excited about the unlocks on Blast when you have the yield and you have the gas is if you looked at the NFT ecosystem, there was always this kind of like push and pull where there's like multiple different parties, right? There's like the marketplace, there's like the users, there's the creators, and it was never fully aligned. And that's something that doesn't exist in tokens, right? And tokens, if you look at the monetization model, it's like for token creators, they're fully aligned with the community because everyone just wants the number to go up. It's like fully like that's the only way they monetize. It's like more volume is great, but it's actually the only thing that the token creators are earning on is when the market cap increases. And that's the same thing that the users want. But NFTs, it was actually a little bit different where yes, in a sense, everyone wants the number to go up. But at the same time, what trading fees monetize is it monetizes volatility, which is kind of directionally correlated with number going up, but it's not actually the same thing. And I think that actually created misaligned incentives, and this is why we've seen so much drama in the NFT space. I think the cool thing on Blast is that when you have this yield and you have the gas fee sharing, this just provides new opportunities to actually tweak the business models to try to create something that's like really fully aligned. So I think that's the thing that I'm like most excited about is like, okay, I think like there's probably something in this, like we don't have something like super fully aligned right now. I don't think we've seen that. But I think it's possible to have something like really, really aligned or at least like more aligned. And I think that is a huge unlock for the space.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Just quick shout out, just they're kind of discussing in chat a little bit. Just a quick shout that Magic Eden is mainly trailblazing with ordinals. That's kind of the wind in their sails. They're like top dog as far as ordinals go. So they've got a nice little pocket, outside of like Solana and stuff like that. They're kind of market leading there. So be interesting to see how it shakes out and what they cook up, how everything settles.
Totally.
A couple more just miscellaneous ones here. I know we're coming up on top of the hour. We started a little late, but we'll just trying to kind of rapid fire through these. Just some miscellaneous stuff, like I said. If you have excess Blast Sepolia ETH, is there anything that we should be doing with that before Mainnet goes live, or is it kind of not a big deal?
No, I would say that's completely like at your own discretion. I would say it's hard to get Sepolia ETH in general. So if you have excess, like I would just hold on to that. But I mean, to be honest, like there is a market value for Sepolia ETH. It's like not much, but there is value there. But there's nothing like Blast specific there. It's really just like you have it for your own sandbox.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Do you have a confirmed date for mainnet launch, or can we at least get like a guarantee that it happens before the end of February?
Yeah, everything's still on track for February. It'll likely be in the last week of February.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people obviously really excited and watching this closely. Some people, as you may know, like to support with their wallets. Are there any investment opportunities for people that are super bullish on Blast and want to, write a check in support? Any seed rounds or anything like that for community or otherwise?
Yeah. So one thing that we're aiming to do is, again, we're really trying to make it like meritocratic. So it's for the winners of the big bang competition, for them and any of their own like fundraising efforts, we're going to really jump in to help as much as we can, connecting them and with investors and communities. So that's one angle, and that'll come after the end of the big bang competition. The other thing I've been thinking about a lot is, I do think it's really important for the community to participate in the upside of the ecosystem. One of the challenges of it is like a lot of it is just like legal, right? It's like Ethereum was launched off of an ICO, and that was awesome because it was like a ton of like normal people that just like participated in that, and it was like one of the greatest like wealth creation events in history. But you can't just like do that nowadays, right? Just because like the regulatory environment is different. So like there's like a lot of challenges, but I think like the general like ethos of like community getting the upside, I think that's something that's like really important, and it's something that I think a lot about. I don't have any answers just yet, but it's something that I actively think about, and I'm kind of like always like in the back of my mind and chatting with our legal counsel of like, okay, like is there something that we can do here? So something that we're actively thinking about, but no answers yet.
Perfect. You let Mitch know the minute you find out, okay? You let us know. All right, a couple more questions kind of coming in fast here at the end, so I'm going to try and just condense them quick. So confusion about the deadline. Where I'm hearing the 20th in the rules, but the 16th on the website. Could we get a clarification there? Is it the 16th?
Yeah, we should have made the copy like a lot clearer, but basically the 16th is the deadline for the submissions, and then we're going to do a live streamed judging event on the 20th.
Oh, that's really cool. Like some Shark Tank shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically we're going to announce the winners like the following day. So like the judges are going to kind of like rank and score all of the different submissions, and then we'll incorporate all of that into selecting the winners the following day.
Oh, that is badass. Can I be a comedic relief judge? You don't have to answer now. We'll circle back later. It's fine. Do you have any pets?
Oh, I can't answer that right now.
Damn it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No big deal. Cool. Let's see what else we got. Oh man, there was so much more. Where's that? Let's see. Here we go. Can you qualify for the blast competition with just an idea and nothing built on the 16th deadline, or do you have to have it built out?
Yeah, I think at this stage, you can definitely create a submission, but it's probably unlikely. Like if you probably at minimum need like a proof of concept. We'll have to see like what all the stack ranking of the submissions looks like, but it's pretty unlikely, I would say, just because it's not that you would be like disqualified. It's just that when we rank all of the submissions, it's like unlikely that just an idea is going to be what cuts it. I mean, like I can say for like a fact like that won't cut it, but maybe if you had like a really sick idea with like a really cool proof of concept, like maybe something there could work, but yeah, probably not.
Okay, got it. Two-part question. Did you receive MVHQ's application, and have you used our app yet? I don't have a gun to my head. I'm just curious.
I believe I have seen MVHQ's application. Was that the registration or the submission?
Oh man, that's a question above my pay grade. We got something in there though. You got something on your desk.
All right, I have a big queue to like take a look at a bunch of things this weekend, so I'm looking forward to taking a look at it.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's to circle back on that one too. Completely new, brand new question. What's your dog's name, Pacman? What's your dog's name? Come on. You have cats? You have cats. You a cat guy?
No comment.
All right, fair. I have to just do my job, man. You understand. Would you guys?
I'm not going to hit the player. Not going to hit the player ever.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Would you want to launch any physical products at any point down the road, like a Saga phone, maybe a Blast phone or something?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the phone, but I do think physical products, I mean, at minimum, I think like merch and stuff would be great. I mean, I know Metaverse HQ is incredible at the merch game. So if or when we do something there, we'd love to reach out to you guys. I'd like to do something on that side, but I don't know about the phone. I don't know how I feel about the phones.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of niche. I'm hearing through my earpiece here. It's a Slack invitation that we're waiting on. I think that's what's holding us up. But yeah, we get that. We'll get the ball rolling. It'll be all smooth.
Oh, let me ping and see what the email. We should have been able to get all the Slack invitations out. So let me double check on that.
Oh, you're the man, dude. I love the way you talk about this stuff. It's getting me going. Is there a Miss Pacman? You don't have to answer that.
No comment.
All right, fair. Man, this has been just a typhoon of information. We're going to have a good time kind of listening back and dissecting this. Really appreciate your time. I'm kind of just gassed. This has been the fastest paced probably AMA we've done. Just so many questions people wanted answered. In our haste, is there anything that we maybe skimmed over too quick that you'd like to double back and maybe reiterate, or any sort of final thoughts or any messaging that you want us to kind of leave with?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the thing that, one thing that I've been seeing a lot of that I just find very regrettable, and it's like really just like, oh my God, like that's like not the point of this all, is when I look at a lot of dApps copying like point systems today, something that I see a lot of is these people basically just like farming the farmers. And it's like, it's very obvious that the dApps, I'm not gonna like name names, but it's like the dApps are basically just like farming their users, and it's just like an aggressive like value extraction method, and like a marketing gimmick. And that's not the point of it. It's really sad that that's being like abused in that way. The point of any of these like point systems is, if you define, what does it take for a protocol or ecosystem to succeed, and then the community is participating and helping that ecosystem come to fruition, they should get to participate in the upside of that. They should actually be the most important, the biggest recipients of that upside, because they're actually the ones like doing the work to make that ecosystem a thing. And so if you look at like an L2, it's like, oh, like what does an ecosystem need? It needs the users and the liquidity, and it needs the dApps, right? And so that's why we have 50% allocated to the users and the liquidity, and we have 50% allocated to the dApps. And there's no fees ever, because it's not meant to be this farming the farmers, like value extractive short-term revenue gain. It's, oh, if you're joining the mission and actually helping to create this ecosystem, it's like you're like the early settlers of America. It's like you get to like own this plot of land, and if you are the one who's like actually making this plot of land a thing, then you actually get to participate in the upside of that plot of land. That's really the outcome that we're trying to create. In all of these incentive designs is like, okay, if people are actually helping to enable this great outcome, they get the upside. So just one thing that I'd really be careful of is there's going to be teams out there that are doing this in like a long-term oriented way, whether it's Blast or even dApps within Blast. There's going to be projects that are implementing this in a long-term oriented way, and then there's going to be projects that are implementing incentive systems in a more short-term extractive way. And I'd just be very careful of the ones that are doing it that way, because they're probably like farming you. But if we're doing it in a way where it's like very clearly building towards like a long-term vision, then that's something, and it's like basically like if you help, then you're participating in the upside. Then that's something that's actually really exciting. So I would just try to like have that lens on and that framework in mind when you consider any of these things. Just because it's like the way that people design these things kind of shows their true colors.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I went on a very similar rant on a show earlier this week. Yeah, same exact thoughts. I probably articulated them a lot shittier, but yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, everybody is just using points or airdrops, specifically airdrops, as just a marketing mechanic with no sort of plan behind it. We'll figure it out later. Just try to bootstrap some attention. So yeah, don't become the product. Don't get farmed. I think we're a community that's very aware, but yeah, appreciate the shout out. Always something to consider. And yeah, I think we know that's not the approach that Blur took or Blast took. So yeah, it's healthy farming. It's enrichment of everybody in the protocol, not just an attention game. So yeah, love it, man. Very well said. Thank you again, dude. Like, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy guy and answering all of these questions. You won't tell me your dog's name. It's bothering me a little bit, but I'm just going to have to move past that. So we really appreciate the alpha, man. And just, yeah, again, it's always been a cook every time you've come through. We'd love to have you back again, maybe, post Mainnet or something like that. But yeah, we'll have all eyes on Blast. We'll be watching the Big Bang competition and keep an eye out for that Slack ping too.
Yep. Awesome. Likewise. We'd very much like to come back at some point. Thanks, guys.
Been a pleasure. Have a good one, man.
Cheers, brother.